You think a gold watch and a fancy car fools anyone? I know exactly how you people get your money, and it's not from hard work. This is a decent family neighborhood, not a cartel hideout. Yeah, that's the line that kicked off the craziest chapter of my life. And if you'd told me back when I was just a guy buying his dream car for his 40th birthday that it would end with a woman in handcuffs and my whole neighborhood standing up and cheering, I would have told you to get out of here. Let me back up a sec. I just pulled the trigger on a cherry red Ferrari 488 Spider, the kind of car you grow up sketching in your notebook and think, maybe someday. Well, someday finally showed up after 2 decades of blood, sweat, and a whole lot of sleepless nights building a software company from scratch. That car wasn't just a car, it was proof that all those missed vacations, late nights, and near bankrupt moments with my wife by my side had meant something. It was the most impractical, reckless, beautiful thing I ever did for myself. The day it arrived, the sun was out, the truck was unloading my Ferrari, and I felt like I'd finally made it. I was standing in my driveway, stupid happy, wearing a crisp blue shirt and my lucky watch, the one my wife gave me the day we closed our first big deal. That's when she showed up, the neighbor from 2 doors down. You know the type, blazer slacks, sunglasses too big for her face, and a clipboard welded to her chest. She looked like she was perpetually smelling rotten eggs. She didn't even say hello, just looked me up and down, sized up the car, and let loose with that whole cartel hideout nonsense. At first I laughed. I mean, what else do you do when someone just makes up a whole life for you because you bought a car, ma'am? I said, I'm a software developer. This is my car. I just bought it. She scoffed. Software developer. That's what they're calling it now. Then she hit me with the title, Treasurer of our esteemed Homeowners Association. She waved her clipboard like a sword and said my car was a security threat, said it would attract the wrong element. The only wrong element in that driveway was a jealous busybody yelling racist stuff at me. I told her to leave. That just set her off even more. Your property, she screeched. We'll see how long it's yours after I call the authorities. Then she pulled out her phone and I swear to you dialed 911, reporting me as a drug dealer who'd just taken delivery of a vehicle that is clearly the proceeds of crime. She made sure to mention I was Hispanic, acting very aggressively. The delivery guy just shook his head. Some people, man, what can you even say? Sirens in our neighborhood are rare. Everyone peeks out the windows, curtains twitch, garage doors crack open. A single squad car rolls up 2 cops, one grizzled and tired, the other young and sharp. Here comes the clipboard brigade again. Thank you for coming so quickly, officers. This individual has been acting erratically, and this vehicle is inconsistent with the financial profile of anyone who could legitimately afford to live here. I couldn't help but laugh. Was I supposed to show my tax returns now? The younger cop asked for my license and registration. I handed them over. Kept my voice calm, posture loose. You learn early how to do that, growing up brown in a place like this. While she went to run my info, the older cop hung back with us. My neighbor puffed up 15 years as treasurer. I take my responsibility very seriously. We have standards. While she was busy monologuing, I glanced over at my car, and there it was. A fresh scratch white paint dug right through the red, right where her big diamond ring would have brushed against the door. My heart sank. She'd keyed my brand new Ferrari right in front of a cop. The cop came back, handed me my documents, told my neighbor there was no crime, told her to stop calling 911 for non-emergencies. She looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. I pointed at the scratch. She just keyed my car, I said, and pointed at her ring. The cop sighed. Did you see her do it? I hadn't. I was talking to his partner. Sorry, sir. Your word against hers. All I could do was file a report against persons unknown. They left and my neighbor stalked away, victorious, smirking. She thought she'd won. I felt helpless, furious, sick to my stomach. My wife Anna came out, saw the scratch, saw my face, and just hugged me. She's miserable, Anna said. This isn't about the car. She sees us happy, successful, and it drives her crazy. She was right, but knowing that didn't make the scratch disappear. We pushed the Ferrari into the garage. I couldn't even look at it. That night I sat there stewing, planning to take her to small claims court to get her for the damages. Anna shook her head. She'll just lie. Even if you win, it'll make things worse. She'll go after us through the HOA. She was right. This was bigger than a paint job. This was a system she controlled. You're the best problem solver I know, Anna said. Treat this like one of your projects. Find the bug. She was right. I stopped thinking like a victim and started thinking like a developer. That's when I got to work. I downloaded every HOA bylaw, every financial statement, every meeting minute, every budget. I learned that the treasurer wasn't a queen. There were supposed to be checks and balances. Financial transparency, required audits, contracts supposed to be bid out, not handed to friends and relatives. I started asking around quietly, politely, just a neighbor taking walks and chatting. I met Mrs. Gable, the sweet old lady next door. She fined me $200 a week for my oak tree dropping leaves, she said. A young couple told me they'd gotten a formal warning about leaving a stroller on their porch, improper storage of wheeled vehicles. Art, a retired accountant who'd served on the board, told me she keeps the books under lock and key. I couldn't stand the way she ran things. I quit. This wasn't just me. She'd been bullying the whole neighborhood for years. I filed a formal request to inspect the HOA's finances. Polite by the book, sent by certified mail. No mention of my car. I waited the 30 days required by the bylaws. No response. I sent a second letter this time, CCing the entire board. Suddenly, I got a terse email from the secretary, request denied. Overly broad, here's a one-page budget summary. It was a joke. Art called me. This is bad, but it's also the best thing that could have happened. They have a legal duty to provide those records. I found a lawyer who specialized in HOA law. She read everything, grinned, and said, "We're going to court. We'll get a forensic audit and force them to pay your legal fees." We filed a petition. The board freaked out, called a special meeting, hired a lawyer on the HOA's dime, our money fighting us. The judge was having none of it. You are a nonprofit corporation. You have a fiduciary duty to your members. You have not met that duty. She ordered a full forensic audit, court appointed. It was like dropping a bomb in the neighborhood. That's when things really blew up. The accountant started digging. I did my own research. The landscaping company the HOA was paying had a fancy website, but the address was a P.O. box in a strip mall, a shell company owned by my neighbor's brother-in-law. Security patrols. Supposed to happen every night. I installed a camera, didn't see a single patrol. I passed all this on to the forensic accountant, and he started to connect the dots. 3 weeks later, we sat in my lawyer's conference room. This is one of the most brazen, sustained schemes of embezzlement I've ever seen, the accountant said. Fines paid by residents cashed into her personal account. Inflated vendor contracts, kickbacks funneled through shell companies. Services billed but never delivered. Over $500,000 stolen from her neighbors. The accountant sent his findings to the judge, who sent them to the DA. The board resigned in disgrace. The HOA was in open revolt. Art was voted in as president, and transparency finally began. My neighbor vanished. House dark, car unmoved. Then the detectives came. I watched from my home office as they quietly escorted her away. There was no victory dance, just an overwhelming feeling of emptiness. All that effort, all that hate, just to end up in the back of a detective's car. She pled guilty, stole from her neighbors, elderly folks on fixed incomes, young families, everyone. She got 3 years in state prison. Art ran the HOA, write audits, fair rules, open meetings. The Ferrari scratch was fixed long ago. The neighborhood healed. But the story didn't end there. One day I got a letter from the DA's office, a link to an auction of her seized assets. Out of curiosity, I bought a box of her old papers. At the bottom, I found a bundle of love letters written decades ago to someone she'd loved before she married for status and money. For just a moment, I saw her as something other than a monster. Still, it didn't excuse what she did, but it helped me let go of any lingering bitterness. You never really know what drives people to ruin themselves. Years passed. My company grew, the kids thrived, our community flourished. I joined the city planning commission, then the city council. The fight that started with a scratch on my car turned me from a quiet software guy into a neighborhood leader. The Ferrari became the car that saved the neighborhood, a silly local legend. The new HOA president, Art, even rewrote the bylaws to protect homeowners from future abuse. One afternoon, washing the Ferrari with my son, he asked, "Is this where she scratched it?" I told him yes. "It's hard to imagine all that happening here," he said. "It is," I agreed, "but it's a reminder, don't judge people by what they own and don't be afraid to speak up even if you're the only one." That was the true legacy, not money, not a car, but the lesson of integrity, courage, and community. I even heard from her lawyer, who apologized for defending her and thanked me for standing up for what's right. The story rippled out other neighborhoods, called Art for Advice Learned from Our Hard-Won Transparency. When my old neighbor died, I got a letter from the prison chaplain. Enclosed was a note from her, a final apology, a plea for forgiveness. I realized I'd already forgiven her for my own sake, if nothing else. So here's the thing, you can't always choose what happens to you, but you can choose how you respond. You can let bullies win, or you can push back with your mind, your voice, your community. That Ferrari in my garage isn't just a car. It's a reminder that sometimes standing up for yourself and your neighbors can turn even the ugliest story into something beautiful. So now it's your turn. What would you have done? Do you believe justice always wins in the end? Or is it just luck and stubbornness? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And hey, if you've ever faced down a bully, I want to hear your story. Don't forget to share, because the more we speak up, the stronger our communities get.